Okay, today I'm going to take on the Exclude TypeScript type challenge. So the idea of this challenge is to build a generic type called MyExclude that works in exactly the same way as the Exclude type does in TypeScript. The only catch is we can't use Exclude to build MyExclude. Okay, so when we load up the playground, we see we've got 3 failing test cases that show us how we're meant to use our MyExclude type. So here we can see that we're meant to pass MyExclude a union type, in this case A or B or C, and another union type, in this case just A, and the resulting type is meant to exclude A from A or B or C, so it's meant to result in B or C for this case. Okay, so when I first saw this challenge, I thought it was pretty similar to the pick challenge that I've previously worked on, where in pick we wanted to include things if they exist in a union, in exclude we want to exclude things if they exist in a union. So my initial thought was we should do this with a mapped type. So we would loop over everything in T, so for each property in T, we want to exclude it if that property exists in U, otherwise we want to include it. So if property extends U, so if property is in U, we want to say never, otherwise we want to include property. And this obviously doesn't work because we've still got a bunch of failing test cases, but I think it would be useful to see what shape this MyExclude type does return. So if we say type test equals, and then we'll copy one of the example test cases down here, we should be able to see what we get back. Okay, so our test is kind of right, but it's also completely wrong. Here we're getting back A as never, B as B, and C as C. Whereas what we actually wanted to get back was just the values and just the values that aren't never. So you probably could spend some time and coerce this MyExclude shape into the shape that you want, but it actually kind of misses the point of this challenge. This challenge is meant to tell us about conditional types and one of their superpowers. So if you read the TypeScript docs, there's a small section on distributive union types in the conditional types section. And that means if you apply a conditional type to a union type, the condition gets applied to each element in the union rather than the union as a whole. So let's give a quick example of what that means. So let's say I had a type called yes or no, and this type was a generic type that took a T, and that T should be a Boolean. And if this T is true, so if T extends true, let's return the string yes, otherwise let's return the string no. So now if we applied a type to our yes or no type, so if we said yes or no for true, we would get back the string yes, whereas if we applied it to no, we would get back the string no. Okay, so what if we applied it to the union true or false? So we now get back the strings no or yes, and that's because true is first being applied to this condition, and then falses, and we're getting back the union of all of those things. So when you know that this condition holds for conditional types applied against union types, this challenge becomes much easier, and we can get rid of all of this, and we can now say MyExclude T equals, and then we can say it's a conditional type, so T should take T and U, sorry. So if T extends U, so if T is in U, we want to give back never, otherwise we want to give back T. And there it is, all of the test cases now pass, and it's much simpler than my initial thoughts. There's only one other thing that you need to know here, and that is, well, why does our union not include the never? And that's because in a union type, never gets dropped.